Anyway, this week's debate,
We're doing a debate.
we're doing a debate. What is the worst thing about being a dad?
All right.
Now, we're going to have two runners up
And a finale.
and the one big versus thing. All right.
So
You're going first?
we'll go one each.
Yeah, we'll go one each.
Do we do one,
Runner- runner-up.
2, 3, or
Well, we
one,
can, no, one,
two,
one, one,
two,
one. Yeah,
three,
yeah.
three.
Okay, so what is your third thing about being a dad?
All right. Now I know that you want to not let me talk. You want to silence me,
Okay.
but okay. My number one. My number one
You're number
runner
three.
up.
Okay.
Okay, number 3. My number 3. Assessing risk.
Yeah.
Okay, so with kids, you're obviously always assessing risk. Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a scenario. It is a little bit, so just bear with me. So every morning, TJ is not a morning person. He gets up, rolls around in bed, rolls around. Okay, mate, come on, let's get breakfast. Goes to the kitchen, opens the fridge, stares. Shuts the fridge, opens the cupboard, stares. Shuts the cupboard, realizes he was meant to go and get dressed first. So he goes back to his room and get dressed.
Yeah.
He comes out again dressed with maybe his shirt on backwards, moves his shirt the right way, opens the fridge, stares, shuts it, opens the cupboard, stares, realizes he's meant to get the toaster. Gets the toaster out, makes his toast, finally sits down. By this stage, it's 30 minutes later. We're about to run late, and we're like, just hurry up, kid.
Yeah.
We gotta go. Losing our mind. So he shoves half the bit of toast in his mouth. Assessing risk. Now, he's gonna die if he chokes on that toast.
Yeah.
We're running late.
You
We've
kind of
asked him
hoping
a
he
screw
does.
times. Kind of hope he dies. It's at a point where we're like, the risk is there. We're going to let it happen
Yeah.
just in case. I hate the fact that it's assessing those moments where it's like, is it too bad? Is it more important for me that he could choke? Of course I don't let him choke.
Yeah.
I talk to him about it, but it's
Yeah. So,
assessing risk.
yeah. Okay. I don't have any problems with being a dad. I love being a dad. I'm such a good dad. And there's no bad
That's not
things
the
about
debate.
being a dad.
That's not the
I'm
debate.
Kidding.
You
I'm kidding.
You can't make me like, Kevin hates being a dad. This is dad verse hates being
Yeah.
a dad.
No, that was a joke.
Good. Fuck you.
No. So my third one was initially my first.
Ooh.
And I thought about it, and maybe it might not even be a bad thing. Anyway, poo is the worst thing about being a dad. Now,
Yeah.
the poo is only a problem for a very short time in their life. You know, when they're in the nappies, and then when you're still wiping their butt, and then it's not really not really a problem until maybe an accident happens or whatever.
Or not
So-
flushing the toilet.
Or not flushing the toilet. So it's not really a thing you have to deal with for that long. And you become so desensitized to it. Like if
Yeah.
any non-parents are listening and they're hearing about poo, you basically touch poo every day, multiple times a day as a dad.
And it just happens and you go,
It just happens. And
oh,
But
I can
it's
wash
like-
that off. That's fine.
before having kids, even the thought of being like in the same room as a poo that isn't your own and it's about to be flushed is so gross. Like seeing one anywhere, it's like, oh, just enough to make you gag. And like when your kids poo, you become so desensitized. Like sometimes the smell will make you gag, but like cleaning it up, accidentally touching a bit, like it doesn't, it's like,
You move on.
whatever.
This
yeah.
has to happen. I'll go and clean my hands
Yeah.
before I eat my breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just becomes such a normal part of your day. It's almost a non-problem. But so maybe that problem is either the problem of being desensitized to poo or just poo. Yeah, just poo. Poo's my runner-up. What's your next runner-up?
That'd probably be a winner. But you'd have non-dads voting. and
Oh, that should have been my number one because my actual number one's pretty confusing and probably won't get votes.
yeah,
Anyway,
that's why I think I'm going to lose.
go your number two.
It's been a while since I did a debate. Fighting children.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the last, not me fighting children, the
Yeah.
kids fighting each other.
Yeah.
The last argument that the kids had was Rusty coming out and being like, he's making the toys too powerful. And I just can't have that fight.
Yeah.
And so you don't have this problem because
Yeah.
you have one child.
No, so I fight
So-
with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's sitting there going, the dolls are fighting. No, and to the point of the amount of times that we get in the car and it's like, he's got his leg on my side.
Yeah.
Oh, shut up. I'm so over the fights that I just, like, as a parent, you're probably meant to just go, just ignore it. Just ignore it, it'll go away. But they just keep going and push it and fight. And then the fight's about the front seat. Anyway, that's my number 2. Probably should have been number 1. I hate
I'm
it so much.
swapping my 2 and number 1.
Oh,
Okay.
I wish I hadn't.
So this is going to be on a number 1, and it is a huge problem. It's almost tied for number 1, but other parents.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just every other parent. I mean like the bad ones. Like I think I discussed it last week. The mother who I worked with, who was like proud of how shitty she was of a parent. She was like proud that she'd spoil her kids and give them junk food all the time. Like they basically lived off sugar. And she was proud of how much screen time they got, which was like the second they get home from school until an hour and a half after bedtime, then
How
they
are
have to
you
turn
proud
their
of that?
things off. Yeah, she was just like, well, because I think no one's like, oh, I'm so ashamed of, whenever I do anything, it's like, oh, I'm ashamed of my parenting that I just did there. But she was so proud of that. Her kids, whenever they come into the store, were just nightmares. They just bounce off all the
I hate
walls
that.
and they were just insane. They would never do what they were told. And like, you see other parents like this, and the worst thing about it, like when you don't have kids, it's like, haha, those kids are fucked. When you have kids, it's like, oh my God, my kid might go to school with those kids. She might end up friends with them, or just have to deal with these nightmare kids who are spoiled and entitled and just shitty, and she has to go to school with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I totally get that. We had another kid at the school who was, the kid himself was actually super polite, super sweet,
Yeah.
but the mum would cause the problems.
Yeah.
She would come to the school and she'd sit there and like whisper in his ear, and then the kid would laugh, and then my kid would be bullied.
Right.
Like, your mum's a wanker.
Yeah, that's
Your
awful.
mum's a dickbag, and I want to burn her house.
Yeah. Other parents are the worst.
Other crap parents.
Yeah.
You know what? I
Other
love
right?
good parents.
Yeah.
I love, like, when I see other parents doing a good job, or when they, self-criticism is so important as a parent, and you need to be able to do it, and you need to be able to admit where you're wrong.
Yeah.
If you're not doing that, then fuck you, your kid's shit.
Yeah, the kids are going to grow up to be as bad as you.
Yeah. Be able to sit there and go, man, I fucked that one.
Yeah.
Man, I yelled a bit too hard on that.
Yep.
I definitely shouldn't have put bleach in their milk.
All right, let's...
Number 1.
Number 1.
Talking of bleach in the milk.
Hmm?
Preventing death.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I'm talking about how there's moments where
Very close to risk assessment, but yeah.
well, no, risk assessment is assessing the risk of like what your
Yeah.
kid's doing and going, is this more important that they continue doing that or move
Yeah.
on? Preventing death is things like your kid's walking on the road and don't see a car,
Yep.
or your kid's making their toast
Yep.
and you see him grab the knife and consider putting that in the toaster.
Yeah.
Or your kid wants to play his Switch in the bath,
Yep.
but it's running out of battery.
Yeah.
There's some things I would, it's, and even things like climbing on the top of, no, that's assessing risk. Preventing death.
Yep. Okay. I feel like that's the same as assessing risk, but Yeah.
No, it's
it
like
doesn't-
actually.
It doesn't matter that they're
But
a
I
bit the
guess
same.
as a parent, you're like,
It's just that bad, and you hate that fact about being a dad.
I just hate
having
being
to do that.
responsible. I just hate the fact that I'm always having to be responsible for keeping these kids alive.
Yeah.
Like sitting in the back seat and one of them hasn't clicked properly. Oh no, I haven't done my seat.
Yeah.
Preventing death.
Yep. Okay. Preventing death. That's pretty bad.
It's a big problem. I think it's just taking responsibility.
I don't know that this one has been that much of a problem for you, or as much of a problem, but my number one problem is bedtime. Obviously, after they've gone to bed, bliss, heaven. Dad
Bedtime's good.
time to watch Top Gear and Auntie Donna. But getting them to sleep can be an absolute nightmare. Like, it's sometimes they can be easy. Go to bed, it's fine. Most nights, no. It's going to take an hour to an hour and a half of,
I used to have that issue,
yeah.
but I had a really. So I don't believe in.
Wait,
Okay, go.
because you started a pointless story interrupting my thing. Sometimes it takes like an hour and a half to get them to sleep, like playing music, sometimes fighting with them. Like sometimes they'll be fighting going to sleep and they'll get angry and yelling and screaming and crying. Those are often the better ones because they wear themselves out
Yeah.
and they go to sleep faster.
But it's exhausting.
Yeah, it is exhausting. Some of the harder ones are when they don't fight it. They just don't sleep. They're just staying awake and just refusing to just enter a sleep state. And they can be like that for like an hour and a half. And you're
So-
just like, just sleep,
But
please.
this
I just want to
is-
watch Auntie Donna.
This is a you problem.
No. This is
No.
almost every parent problem.
So it used to be a problem for me because
Yeah.
I'd sit there and I'd hold my hand over the cot and hold Rusty's hand.
Yeah.
And I get a dead arm. And then all of a sudden I'm like, he's 1.5. What am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my hand away. Every now and then I'll pat him, I'll move my hand away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit and play Animal Crossing.
Yep.
Play my Switch.
I do that stuff. I'll play games on my phone and stuff while
Yep.
she's going to sleep. And it has had varying degrees of being a problem. There's been times where it wasn't much of a problem. She'd just go to sleep in like 10 minutes and
Yeah.
then we're done.
But there's
And that's the thing. Before he was 1.5, that was a problem.
I don't believe in controlled crying.
Okay.
I think that's ridiculous. I think putting a kid
I've
in a
got
room.
no idea what that is. What's controlled crying for everyone who's...
So controlled crying is where you put a kid in the room and they cry it out and they tire themselves out and they go to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
You basically put your kid to bed to scream, cry, and freak out while you sit in the lounge room curled in a ball.
Yeah.
I can't handle this.
Yeah.
No, you let them cry it out. But no, I don't believe in that. I
No.
think there's like you, and then some people do it as like you walk in, they cry, you walk out.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, other way. You walk out, they cry, you go back, and then the separation between times gets longer
Yeah.
and longer. The way that I did it was I did sit with him for a while. I held his hand, I progressed.
Yeah.
And then eventually I did walk out.
Mm.
When I'd sense that he was tired enough for me to leave, I'd go, all right, I'll come back soon, okay?
Yeah.
You just lay there, I'll come back. And then eventually I'd lengthen the time that I wouldn't come back. And that, like,
Yeah.
he knew that I was coming back. They build that trust, but they know that you're not going to sit there the whole time and wait by their side.
Yeah. Now, it's not just that part of bedtime. It's also getting them ready for bed. Have you brushed your teeth? No. Have you brushed your teeth yet? No.
My kids are pretty good.
Yeah, sometimes. Or they come out like an hour after they've gone to bed.
Ugh.
I actually thought that maybe I would like a snack. I can't remember. I've seen Rusty do it a few times. He'd come out like a good
Yeah.
hour or so after we put him to bed, and he's
Yep.
come out.
That's
I'm
on
actually
times
not
where
sleep-
Vera stays over though.
Yeah,
When it's a weeknight, a school night, routine.
yeah,
All right, everyone's done, everyone's good. Read, bed, sleep, gone. Stay in bed. They know to stay in bed.
yeah,
it took a while to get there, but
it
now
was-
that I've achieved it, bedtime's fine. It's good.
Yeah,
Love
okay.
bedtime.
So difficult bedtimes are the worst, though.
No, I
Like, they
love-
haven't always been a good, dreamy
difficult-
time.
yeah. It's not the worst though, because I knew that it was going to get better. Because the older kids, it's just a progression. It's part of that thing.
Yeah.
And by the time that you finally get a routine or a structure that works, where the kid isn't jumping out of bed every 5 minutes or crying for you, by the time that happens, you feel so much achievement that you're like, I win. I feel good that I went through all of that.
So that's exactly... So, and it is similar to, like, Dark Souls or Elden Ring or something. The bosses in those games are
For anyone
ridiculously hard.
For anyone who's not a gamer, these are video games.
Yeah, these are
where
video
they're
games.
very tricky, and you slog for hours and hours trying to get past a bit.
Yeah, I'm explaining that so I can relate
Sorry.
it to my point.
Do it.
So the bosses in these games are insanely hard. And they take a lot of practice, a lot of time, a lot of getting to know their movesets until you can finally beat them. And it's so satisfying when you do. But before you beat them, it's just an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
And that's the same with this boss of getting your kids to bed. Until you get that good routine down, it is a nightmare.
Tell me though.
Like, we got to the point where we did have a good routine with Vera. We were getting her down easy. She was going to bed on her own.
Yep.
And then she had these awful incidences at school with a kid. It was
Yeah.
like this kind of bullying thing. I don't really want to get into it on the podcast.
But that's a thing. That's
Let me finish. And that ruined the progress we'd made towards her going to bed early. And it like
I do remember.
all she could do was talk about this kid every night, like, oh, I'm worried about this kid tomorrow or whatever. Even she still sometimes brings up this kid, even though she's not in school with him anymore and will never see him again. But yeah, so we're back to bad bedtimes. But it's just, it is a difficult, awful thing to deal with until you don't have to anymore. You don't have to anymore,
Yeah.
but it has been a difficult thing. Sometimes staying up for hours putting these kids to sleep. When they're babies, waking you up all the time, having to get them to sleep.
I will agree that bedtime hasn't always been joyful.
Yeah.
And on the nights where they do refuse to go to bed, it's not always fun, especially when you've got things to do and it's important and whatever.
Yeah. Well, because you're always looking forward to dad time.
Well,
Always
yeah,
keen for that
yeah.
next Arnie Donner episode.
Oh, yeah. Yep. But at the same time, it's like, to me, it's not the biggest issue. You know
No,
what I mean?
it's not. And like, yes,
I don't
it's
hate
keeping
it.
a kid alive is the biggest issue. Do I hate that about being a dad? No. I'm basically a hero every day. Every day, I'm a superhero. I assess the risks and I go, all right, I'm going to get in there and stop that grape from choking you.
You ever had to grab a kid off the road and they start crying because you're like, whoa! And they go, you pulled me! You're
No.
like, you were going to die!
No, but I've done
You were
similar
gonna
things.
die.
Yeah, and that's great. It's like, yes, hero.
Oh, yeah, it's great to
I
have the
saved-
kid
No.
cry at you because you pulled them out of the way of a moving...
Yeah, it's
bus.
better for them to cry at you for an extreme situation than cry at you because they don't want to go to bed. Like, the thing is, like, dealing with dangers and that kind of thing, it's all reasonable. They understand that kind of thing. Dealing with them going to sleep, it's such a basic daily function. And them fighting
Watching
that.
a kid almost get hit by a car is traumatic for you.
Yeah,
Putting a kid to bed is traumatic for them.
and you.
Why?
Because it's difficult.
No, but you get over it. You move on and you go, you know what?
Yeah, and you
Bedtime
move on
sucks.
after-
Like, my God, it's
after
good to
saving
beat
their
it.
life.
I've beat
You feel like a hero. You tweet about
No,
it. You go,
'cause
I saved a kid today.
I had a friend whose kid was riding his scooter along the side of a lake for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
Right? Just cruising along. Kid was in front. They were talking to another parent, just going for a lake walk.
Yeah,
Kid fell in the lake.
yeah,
Freaking out. Oh my God.
yeah.
Guy on a bike rides past. Gets a kid out. Saves him.
Yeah.
Traumatic for everybody. Super glad that he was safe.
It sounds like a human problem, though, not a dad problem.
But
Not dad specific.
preventing death is horrific.
Preventing death is
It's
something.
a story that you continue to. You know what?
it's
I've
not just
never heard
something you-
any parent sit there and go, geez, there was one time that it was so hard to get this kid to go to bed. Whereas if it's like,
No, they don't say this one time it was difficult to get them to bed because it's their entire life for like 3 to 4
it
years.
doesn't need to be, because kids eventually get it.
Yeah, eventually. Until then, it's a nightmare every night. You might have 1 or 2 times you have to save your kid's life. And the thing is, like, accident prevention and saving lives and that kind of thing. That's a thing everyone does every day. That's a part of life. If you see someone about to get hit by a car, a little old man, he's about to cross the road, you're right behind him, he's about to get hit by a car. Whoa there, buddy. He's not going to cry afterwards, but he'll be really grateful. But the putting them to bed, that's specifically a parent problem. No one else is experiencing this nightmare of a problem. Whereas saving lives, that's kind of cool. That's really cool.
You ever have to put a friend to bed?
Sometimes. Why? What's your point?
I don't know, I just wanted to ask.
All right. Well, okay. So
Fuck,
that's
you've
the
won again,
debate. Is
Country boy.
what is the worst thing about being a dad? Is it putting your kids to bed, or is it saving their lives? How do you want to phrase that? Because saving their lives sounds really good. That sounds like a great thing to do. Is that a bad thing? That's the best
No,
thing.
it's preventing death.
Preventing death. Okay, that sounds bad.
Saving lives.
It's the exact
I
same
hate
thing.
being a dad because I hate saving lives. No.
What does preventing death mean?
I hate preventing. Oh. Oh no, how am I going to phrase this?
All right, anyway, we're going to go.
I'll put a thing. This is what it's going to say. I'm going to have to put a post edit right here. Vote for bedtime or whatever this says.
Yeah.
Two brothers.
Daddy, Dad.